From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We are joined, as always, with our super producer, Alexis, codename Doc Holliday Jackson. Most importantly, you are here, and that makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. This is one of the moments, fellow listeners, where I wish I could pull off a stuff they don't want you to know off hours, stuff they don't want you to know after dark, whatever you call it, because we have these amazing conversations off air. Honestly, full transparency, I'm pretty sure, I don't know about Matt and Noel, but I'm pretty sure that Doc and I were just speaking with our plants earlier this week as you hear this, because we had a great strange news. Do tune in if you have a chance. Before we get rolling today, there are a couple of things we want to share with you, the most important part of this show. If you have been a longtime listener, if you're just tuning in now and you're asking yourself, why the hell do my guys not have a book? Well, we have some good news for you. We do have a book. We have an audio book, which you'll hear about very soon. We can't wait for you to hear it because, holy smokes, as our NSA intern Steve knows, we all worked quite assiduously on it. And if you want to skip the audiobook, you can hang with us directly because we're back on the road. You know what I mean? I'm saying, you know what I'm saying in the contest? I'm saying COVID 0, us 1. We won. We're back on the road.
That's a very generous assessment, COVID still being quite a pill. But also, by the way, that audiobook is an audio version of an actual book that you can pre-order on the internet. And you can find all of these links in our link tree on Instagram specifically, in addition to ways of buying tickets to these events that we'll be doing on the road, which are in 3 cities.
Again, link tree in Instagram or stuffyoushouldreadbooks.com.
You can also find the link in the description for all of our episodes, as well as our strange news and listener mail segments. Before we roll into messages from you, fellow conspiracy realists, we have a bit of housekeeping. We have some corrections to air. As you guys know, honesty is quite important to me, and I think to all 3 of us. So let nothing stay unaddressed. We had an episode on permaculture quite recently in the span of the show. And in that, we talked about the temperature increase across the world from pre-industrial to the humans' modern days. And I am the one who womped on this one. I was so proud of being able to do the conversion in my head between Celsius and Fahrenheit. And it's okay for me to dunk on myself. Okay, folks? Matt, off mic, Matt checked in. Matt had a come to Jesus moment with me. And I was like, again, you guys know me. I was crazy. I was at bat with this stuff. And I was like, no, I know in my head the conversion between Celsius and Fahrenheit. I was correct, but I did not go all the way. So thankfully, we can say this part of the permaculture episode was incorrect. And thank you to all our fellow conspiracy realists who reached out to me to let me know that all of us need to know the Earth's temperature did not, in fact, increase by a full 34.16 degrees Fahrenheit. It increased by something more like 2.52 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's on me. That's on my own hubris for being so impressed with doing a calculation in my head that I didn't finish out the rest of the math. So that is a correction. that we want to air. And again, this gives us one more opportunity to say thank you to you listening now and to you who wrote in and took the time to reach out. The truth remains sacrosanct. Again, it's not 34.16 degrees, it's 2.52, around there, Fahrenheit. We have one more thing we wanted to get to air before we dive into stories from our fellow listeners.
I was a real barnacle. I believe I said in the episode we were discussing Meta and their handing over information to the authorities around quote unquote illegal abortion, that the medication that the individual in question had taken was the morning after pill or the Plan B. That is absolutely incorrect. That is a medication that you would take prior to actually being pregnant. It has to be taken very quickly. There are other medications that are much more something that you would take further along in the process, and it was not clear in the reporting which medication the person had taken, and I spoke too soon.
And again, we want to thank all of our fellow listeners who wrote in to share this information. We are, speaking of you, fellow listeners, we are going to share some stories that you have shared with us. And I'm just laughing because I've received so much communication about feces in the mail, received some wonderful communications about human blood, so much so that I actually went over on Twitter at BenBolinHSW, and guys, I published verbatim a line from our group text that we usually hold off air, where I said something like, I'd have to pull up Twitter to look at it, but I said something like, it'll be good to talk about blood, though. It's always a good conversation.
It's true. It is our essence, Yeah, it's a thing. It's important, and it's revered throughout culture and civilization.
There we go. Thank you, man. Thank you for that. Thank you for that backup there. As you know, the three of us do our best to back each other up and to back you up, especially when you come with facts. When you come with the stuff they don't want you to know, it usually means that it's important to know those things. And that's where our first piece of correspondence starts today. An anonymous source contacted us. It's something that really stood out to Noel, really stood out to Matt, really stood out to me. And this is one that's grown close to us over the years. It's a promise, perhaps, to be kept.
Oh, yes. I would say in this case, I'm what's the Aquaman character from The Boys? What's that dude's name?
The Deep.
The Deep. I'm very much like the Deep in this regard, where the octopus is uncomfortably close to me at times.
There it is.
So here's. I'm sorry. I'll do anything to make myself giggle.
So worth
okay.
it.
All right. Here we go. You're welcome, Alexis. Alexis said, "OMG." Okay. I'm just going to start reading from this email. My name is Redacted. I'm a relatively young conspiracy realist, and I live in America. My conspiracy expertise is mostly relegated to the history of various intelligence communities across the globe. While there's thousands of topics and stories I'd love to discuss with y'all, I'll do my best to be concise. I was listening to your, quote, "What was the Octopus" episode, and got to the part where y'all started talking about Inslaw's PROMIS software. Well, let me just say, yeah, right? Remember that one, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just say, I have some details you guys might have left out or omitted and would find quite intriguing if you don't know about it already.
Careful, Anon. I read your emails.
we have your actual name. Anonymous continues. Rafi Eaton, head of the Defense Ministry's LECHEM at the time, obtained a copy of a PROMIS disk, that's the software, through Earl Bryan in the early 1980s. Now, you got to stick with us, everybody, if you're listening. This gets a little complicated, but this is important. So we've got Earl Bryan. This guy, Earl Bryan, gave a disk to Rafi Eaton. Bryan was livid with the Justice Department for using a version of the PROMIS software to successfully track mafia money laundering. So, mafia money. And having been left out of the profits from PROMIS. That would be upsetting, right?
Mhm.
When Brian traveled to Tel Aviv in the early 1980s, he stayed at Eitan's residence. While staying there, Brian was moved by Eitan's stories of the growing threat of the Intifada revolution. Brian felt PROMIS could help. He also wanted to make money. So Brian and Eitan hatched a plan to modify PROMIS with a trap door and market it around the world. After receiving the disc, Eitan then recruited a small team of Lechem programmers to reverse engineer the PROMIS disc.
Lechem, by the way, is it translates in English the Bureau of Scientific Relations. It was around this time, it was an Israeli intelligence agency that collected scientific and technical intelligence, most notably for the nuclear program in Israel, which I believe I'm required to say has not been officially confirmed.
Oh man, it factors into this too. It's crazy. It's crazy how many of the conspiracies we've talked about on this show end up getting wrapped up in this story being told to us by Anonymous right now. So let's continue down the rabbit hole here. So Eitan recruited that small team of programmers from that thing you just discussed, Lechem, to reverse engineer the PROMIS disc. And then Eitan had a Mossad official hire an Israeli-American engineer out of North Carolina to design an undetectable microchip that acted as the, quote, trapdoor or backdoor. It was not the DOJ, the Department of Justice, that had the backdoor microchip designed for use in the PROMIS software. It was Mossad, specifically Spy Master Rafi Eitan. That's intense. Okay, that's intense, this concept, because it's kind of, we're tracing the pattern here. If you go back and actually listen to that episode that's being referenced by Anonymous, What Was the Octopus, when it deals with like, why was this PROMIS software that was meant to just track court cases originally, why was it being used around the globe, and why was it being sold by specific groups to other specific groups? The email continues, here's where it gets good though. Earl Bryan first tried to sell the bugged PROMIS to Iraq and Jordan's intelligence services through his company Hadron. Eitan was unsatisfied and wanted to find someone more effective at marketing and selling the software, so Eitan recruited a contact of his. It's a very special contact, you guys. A guy named Robert Maxwell.
Dun, dun,
Did that ring any bells for you guys? Robert Maxwell?
No, like the Maxwell Coffee Dynasty? No, I don't
the
think
father of Ghislaine?
Maxwell.
Oh,
also,
yeah, that one, that Maxwell.
Also super in bed with some Israeli intelligence outfits. But if you're super in bed with Israeli intelligence outfits, just for the record, you're probably kind of in bed with some Five Eyes stuff as well.
Oh, yeah. He was also the owner of several mass media outlets. Yeah. Okay. So Eitan got this guy, Robert Maxwell, to market and sell the new Mossad PROMIS spyware around the globe using Maxwell's Tel Aviv-based Digem Computers Limited, or Digem. I don't know how to pronounce that. DEGEM. It was one of several Israeli companies that Maxwell bought in the early 1980s. Very few of these Israeli companies were not Mossad's service providers. Digem itself was used to provide cover to Mossad assassins in South and Central America as well as Africa. These are huge allegations being put out here. And you guys, I don't have confirmation for these at this moment. We have some reporting on it, but I don't have full confirmation on these allegations.
I have nothing I can
Just
air.
want to put that out there. Of course. All right. Good. Should we continue, guys? This is a pretty long email. Does anyone want to round robin part of this?
I'm your Huckleberry, Matt. I'll play your reindeer games, Anon. By 1989, $500 million US of PROMIS had been sold to intelligence services in the following countries. Anon list: Britain, Australia, South Korea, Canada, Jordan, Iraq, Poland, Russia, Chile, Argentina, Guatemala, and more. The worst and juiciest sale Maxwell made, though, is not the one he made through Digem, but rather an American company he bought in 1982 through the Permagon Group, true story, known as, quote, information on demand, end quote. Maxwell met with Henry Kissinger, who pointed him to the head of the Armed Services Committee at the time, Senator John Tower. Tower then arranged for Maxwell to visit numerous labs at the Los Alamos complex, including Sandia National Laboratories, to market PROMIS there. Ellipses. Tower did all that for the low price of $200,000 US. I always laugh at spy money. $200,000 US of Mossad money.
Chump change.
Maxwell successfully sold PROMIS software to Sandia National Laboratories and others, the Sandia National Laboratories, that basically houses U.S. nuclear programs and R&D secrets. Yeah, Mossad got into that through PROMIS and Maxwell. True story. Uncannily, the sale of PROMIS to Sandia and other labs happened in the same period of 1984, where Eitan had one of Israel's top experts in nuclear targeting take over the supervising duties of Jonathan Pollard's U.S. nuclear espionage on behalf of Israel. I'm hitting my desk here. That's me. In parentheses, Anon says, I'm going to assume you all know about Jonathan Pollard. Yes, dude. Oh, my God. All right. There's another paragraph.
Now, for the last big twist about Pergamon, the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, and Sandia. Read the link below to find out, because I can't summarize all of this in detail. Plus, there's important documents to back things up. But in short, I'm pretty sure Israel was more or less supposed to get our nuclear secrets. That was the goal of Eitan's Lechem agency. While the PROMIS conspiracy was going down, there was obvious and documented collusion between the U.S. DOJ and the Mossad. Maxwell's Pergamon International had a history with the CIA's open source intelligence gathering methods before the PROMIS days. And when the FBI got involved in an investigation into Pergamon, thanks to Sandia and the NSA alerting the FBI to Pergamon's connections with Russia, the FBI swiftly reclassified a slew of documents, specifically anything with Maxwell's name on it, and shut down the investigation under the guise of Pergamon's business relationship with Russia being a non-issue, probably because it was a non-issue, since the real issue was Mossad having a backdoor into our foremost nuclear laboratory. Breath.
Yeah, but not just that. Not just the foremost nuclear laboratory. They were able to put tentacles, if you will, into all of these other countries' intelligence services. Think about that, guys. If there ever were an octopus, that's it. If there is a reason that a certain journalist found himself dead in a bathtub when he was going to go meet a confidential source, I think that could be it.
Something that may have put our boy Casolero in a casket.
That's what I'm saying. And I think it's time we dig even deeper into that story, guys. I think this might be a whole, episode, maybe a whole TV series. Wink. Wow. Anyway, this is really great. Thank you so much, Anon, for sending this to us. That was a ton to unpack. It's too much even for me to unpack in this moment while we're sitting here talking about it. But basically, it's tracking what happened with that PROMIS software to the full extent with proper names. And it's a bigger story than even I understood, I think, at least up to this point. Well, all right, we will keep looking into that. Thank you, Anon, for sending that our way. We hope you stay safe. And any other little tidbits like that you want to send our way, we are interested for sure. Maybe find a more secure form of transmission.
And thank you also, Anon, for some excellent points about the Clinton body count. I agree with you.
Yes, thank you. And we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
And we're back with more messages from you helping us out. I can't help but laugh because the segment that this email is referencing, we all just got real silly. It's about sending poop in the mail. Matt, you may recall that one. It was, what is it? A disgruntled not a judge, maybe like
court
a
mediator.
I think it was. Yeah, it was sending poop to political individuals that he did not agree with. And we asked a lot of questions in that segment. What are the laws around sending poop? Is it the same as sending like human remains? Like what is the whole deal with the law governing these types of acts, and where does it go? Matt, you found the kind of like unicorn fact in this whole thing was that if you send poop in the mail, it's not going to go to the person that you're actually sending it to. It's going to go to some hapless mail sorter because it's going to usually get flagged because it doesn't have a return address on it. Remember that, Matt?
Well, yeah, it's going to get sent through an automated system generally first, that a mail sorter works on a computer and tells it where to go.
Right.
But then eventually, it's going to be in the hands of at least 2 other people before it gets to a government official.
And that's what we get with this email from an anonymous listener. Asks that we hide this individual's name, email address, of course, and where they work. The place this individual works is a place that maybe could be considered controversial. We will not divulge whether this is a left or right controversial organization, but it is controversial nonetheless, and we will not say what it is. I work at Beep, which is a controversial organization in the United States. We have been mailed poop on 2 separate occasions. Part of my job is to open the mail, and I opened the poop envelope both times. Yay. You won the prize. I contacted local authorities on both occasions, which were a couple of years apart, thankfully. The poop was tested and was found to be cat poop, but the authorities were unable to find the jerk who mailed it. Now for the real reason why I am writing this email. Please tell your listeners to not send poop in the mail. We kind of did that, I think, pretty aggressively in the segment. That poop will not reach the intended person because what important person opens their own mail? Fair enough. Some schmuck like me will be opening that mail, or an intern or another underpaid staff member. Opening poop makes for a horrible day, week at work. Please, oh please, do not send poop in the mail. Thanks for a fantastic show. An anonymous listener. I think we can all get behind that sentiment. Please, oh please, don't send poop in the mail.
Yeah, the behind is the most important part of that statement. I don't know what I'm saying.
See, now it's like we're back in that's the kind of gems we were dropping gems, dropping the kids off at the pool. Anyway, there was another email that came in also referencing this segment that hipped us to a website that when you go to it, it looks like it's been around since like the GeoCities days. But the website is poopsenders.com. And it says here, completely counter to the advice we have just given you, the original poop senders, always fresh, always anonymous. The ultimate gag gift, sweet revenge at its finest. Guaranteed anonymous, package tracking emailed instantly. Order now. Like us on Facebook, because that's totally anonymous, right? And then there's a sale going on, a 2022 summer sizzling sale, 50% off 3 pounds of steamy elephant poop. It used to be $99.95. Now it's only $49.95. Hurry, limited time offer. It's the summer sale. You can get cow dung, elephant crap. They're giving a separate like poop analog for each one of these. Gorilla poop or the combo pack, which you can get in gallon or mega pack. I would not put my credit card information into this website. I hope nobody out there would either. But the fact that it exists and looks so antiquated is delightful.
It says there's a new cash option. It says use our new cash option. We don't need your name, credit card, email, nothing. There's absolutely no trail back to you. Just complete the order form above. Just click confirm, then use the green pay with cash button and follow the instructions on the next page. Yeah, this is a trap. This whole thing is a trap.
Mm-hmm. Then they give you top 10 reasons to send someone poop. Number 1 is for your ex. Number 2, I don't even want to read this. It's going to give people bad ideas. Don't send poop in the mail. This website should not exist. We've got some customer testimonials, though. This is a gift that every asshole neighbor should get. But again, I think I brought this up in the segment. Whatever happened to putting a bag of poop on your own asshole neighbor's porch and just lighting it on fire and then just running away? Why do we need to do it through the mail? Let's leave the mail out of this.
That message, by the way, came from Officer Hot Pants. I just thought that was notable.
Yeah.
I want to thank sincerely everybody who reached out to me sincerely on social media, various other avenues of correspondence with insight about poop and mailing poop. Let's give some quick shout outs to those of our fellow listeners who first off thanked me, and that's dubious, for giving you the more you know moment about how to mail poop. I want to reiterate again, as a general rule of thumb, and I am saying this on Twitter publicly on record, do not send people poop in the mail unless they explicitly ask you to do so. Special shout out to Jamie D, who followed up with, don't send poop that came from a people, or don't send any poop at all. Can I send camel poop to a person? This is time sensitive, Ben. I am at the post office. To you, Jamie, I respond, just in general, don't send poop unless you have a pre-existing agreement. When I talked about camel clients' privilege, that was a joke. I am not versed in camel law. I'm not even versed in bird law. That honor goes to Charlie Day. If you really want to mess with someone's day, send them glitter, which is much more legal. Please tune in to our upcoming full episode on some stuff they don't want you to know about glitter, which will blow your mind.
In the interest of not continuing to belabor this point, I think we should move on, make this a short one, and have a break and then another piece of listener mail.
And we're back. I want to extend a special thanks to everybody who takes the time to write in at conspiracy@iheartradio.com. Again, we read every single email we get, and I certainly dive into the rabbit hole here. So our final piece of correspondence comes from Cherish. Cherish, you said, hey guys, the last couple of episodes I listened to, the Rh negative blood type conspiracy came up. I am an Rh negative blood type and had to get RHO GAM shots for all 3 of my pregnancies so that my blood cells and immune system wouldn't attack my developing babies. This is me. They call me Ben here, interjecting with some editorialism. We're going to talk about that in a second because it's something more people need to know. Back to Cherish. She says, to kind of put to rest or add to it, thinking face emoji, the idea that we are some kind of alien descendants with superhuman abilities, I decided to share a bit of my experience with you. Cherish says, my superpowers: 1, the ability to stub my toe and hit my head simultaneously. Boom. 2, falling up the stairs. Boom. 3, tripping on air. Ba-dum. Number 4, other physics-defying accidents that usually end in injury of myself and others. Fun fact, though, says Cherish, I did a DNA test to trace my ancestry, and in my results, there was the expected English, Spanish Iberian, and Northwest European. But curiously, there was 11% unknown, with an explanation that basically said they couldn't find any matches in their system for that particular bit of DNA. Maybe that's just an ethnic group not participating much in the collection and analysis of DNA to match me to, or maybe that's what led to the Rh negative blood type and the bit of not from around here ancestry. And then Cherish, you go on to say, you're happy to volunteer for any research, and you're also currently living, for the sake of your security, Cherish will just say that you live in the area of the U.S. National Radio Quiet Zone. And you said you are glad to help us out with any research into that spooky part of the United States. Thanks. Love listening to you guys. Cherish. Well, Cherish, you are not just a rarity in this week's listener mail segment. You are a rarity in, a rarity in that we have 2 anonymous sources, and then we have Cherish. You are also a rarity by nature of your blood. We have talked a little bit about blood in previous explorations, such as, for a time, there were a couple of startups here in the United States that were taking plasma, like that's like the unctuous part of blood for any blood drinkers. They were taking plasma from young people who needed money and putting it into the veins of wealthy people who had money but didn't have as much time.
Jeez.
Yeah, modern vampires, very hashtag Monty Burns.
Yeah, or like bathing in the blood of virgins or something like that. Like it's very culty and weird.
I still think that was anti-Bathory propaganda, but it's like I had to be their situation. So I want to start off this, and again, we'll keep this quick because this is very interesting, I think, to all of us. So do you guys know your blood types?
I do not. It came up recently. I was like, I know so much random bull crap about like pop culture and music and movies, but I do not know my blood type, and it's embarrassing.
No, I do not.
Don't know your blood type. No, it's funny to hear that because there are many people who are in the same situation. Many human beings are in the same situation, especially in the US. It doesn't come up often, right? If you are donating blood, you should. I'm a little biased, but I think it's a good thing to do. If you donate blood, then you are helping someone that you will never meet, which is a very, very noble thing. And you will not be turned away based on your blood type. You may be turned away for other reasons, which we've discussed, I think, in previous either listener mail or strange news segments. You may be turned away for other reasons that this show doesn't agree with. But in other parts of the world, blood types are treated very much the same way that Westerners would treat a zodiac sign, right? Like, are we all in the Western zodiac as it's practiced now? We're all Leos, right? Are we all roaring?
I'm wearing the hat. I bought this hat just in case people were wondering. I'm in fact a Leo. We're all a couple days apart in our birthdays, so we're probably the same exact rising sign, right? Or like the same exact iteration of Leo.
I have no idea.
Hey, you are clueless about blood type and rising signs. I am too. I don't know.
I was looking
either.
at my license and I see the organ donor note here, but it seems like in an emergency situation, it would be cool to know my blood type too, right?
Yes.
Isn't there? Can't you ask them to put that on your license? Isn't that a box you tick at the DMV? I think it is.
Yeah,
actually,
but it's creepy.
I think it is.
It's creepy because
I think most people don't put it on there because they don't know. Because you have to know. They're not going to like look it up for you.
They're not going to do a blood test there.
That's right. I do believe there is a thing where you can have your blood type be on your driver's license. But correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm wrong plenty.
You're absolutely right. And we're all in the same, I was going to say blood donation word. We're all in the same boat as many people listening along today. Your blood type often is not going to come up. The odds of you going on a job interview or going on a first date and having someone ask you, what's your blood type? Are you a universal donor? Are you one of those people who can take any old blood? That's probably not going to come up. If it does, you are on a very interesting date or a very interesting job interview. But this idea of blood type has been, I think, willfully misinterpreted by a lot of fans of UFO extraterrestrial speculation. This is something that Cherish is calling out here when Cherish is saying, I am actually not an alien. My superpowers include the everyday human superpower of being kind of clumsy at the worst times.
Who's discussing these superpowers? I was trying to look it up, and I couldn't really find anything other than the pregnancy transfer and the issues with people that have this blood type and having to get certain injections to make sure that the fetus is viable. But what circles are conjecturing that this blood type is somehow not of this world?
Right. It's going to be the typical ancient aliens crowd, which I don't want you guys to die on this hill with me, but I've been on record in the past pointing out the racist origins of those sorts of arguments, because God knows they're not supported by fact. But the idea then, or the cognitive leap, is that because something is more rare than another trait, it must therefore be even more special than science would indicate. For people who have blue eyes in the human species, if you're talking about genetic blue eyes, they largely originate from a mutation in what we would call Estonia today. And they were just soups popular. And so they spread around. But that doesn't mean there was an alien involved. There were just a couple of folks, who had a little zhuzh-up in their appearance and were able to capitalize on that. But this does mean that there are some blood types that are more prevalent. When we talk about blood types, what we're really talking about is shorthand for blood group systems. And there are 43 different blood group systems recognized by the ISBT, the International Society of Blood Transfusion. If you're donating blood, and again, please do, you won't have to worry about which of those 43 types you might fall into. You can just show up and hopefully they will know that you are helping to fight the good fight. RH, capital R, little h, negative refers to an absence of proteins in your red blood cells. Every time you bleed, every time you cut your hand at a ritual or in an accident, you are emitting not just one substance. It may look like one substance, but you're emitting kind of a smoothie of red blood cells and white blood cells. And as you point out, Cherish, this comes into play in a big way when you are a person carrying a child, when you're expecting a human child, because you are Rh positive, and that's relatively rare, then the child you are carrying may emit a certain amount of its blood into your circulatory system. And then if you have Rh negative blood, then that means your body will say, whoa, what's all this strange blood? We don't like Rhs. We don't like those proteins around here. And it may make antibodies that can hurt or kill blood cells that have those Rh proteins. So this is past all the hooty-hoo and the woo-woo of speculation about extraterrestrial hybrids. This is something that is important to know. The medication that Cherish refers to, RHO-GAM, GAM, this is a treatment that will prevent the host body, I shouldn't say that, the expecting parent from making antibodies that attack those Rh positive blood cells, giving your future progeny a safer home, right? And this is creepy to some people because it is made with human blood. It contains a very small amount of Rh positive proteins, and this feeding that
it's like
small
a vaccine.
amount, right? Just so, yes, feeding that small amount of this into your body system will prevent your immune system from making permanent standing antibodies that are always going to fight those Rh proteins. And they, most importantly, will not harm your child. This is key. This is also an opportunity for us to talk about. I feel creepy when I talk about the importance of donating blood.
Let's talk about blood.
Yeah, I know. It is important, though. It is important. And that's why I wanted to ask you all about your blood types. But I think this is fascinating because you see so many sort of Pepe, Sylvia, Charlie Day kind of red string conspiracies drawn, these leaps of logic made when we hear that anyone has a rare trait, when you hear that someone may have an extra vertebrae in their spine, when you hear that someone may have attached rather than detached earlobes. Like what are some of the physical traits that you guys have heard of that are rare?
Well, doesn't that usually, like, evolutionarily speaking, if there's going to be a mutation that's going to take off, it needs to be beneficial, right? Like it needs to like do something
non-harmful. Yeah.
Or non-harmful, but mainly beneficial. Like not mainly, but like if it's beneficial, it's more likely to carry on because it's, the odds are in the favor of those that have that trait that's like somehow interacting with the environment, making sure they don't like get killed. And again, these kinds of things sort of take a smaller view in our modern day, but like evolution over time, a trait that would like literally keep a species from being killed off, but yet caused it to like flourish. That was much more important in the old days, of evolution. But I'm with you, man. And the idea of blood lines, for example, just the idea of blood, purity of blood, all of it's like there's all this stuff wrapped up in blood that I think is fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there a mutation that causes toes sometimes to be more elongated and act like be more like fingers? That would be a really interesting one. We were talking about different mutations.
Yeah, there are mutations specific to that. I believe there are also mutations that affect all of the, what do they call it? Phalanges? Would that be the word? For your little hand and foot bits?
Yeah.
I may be just talking about the human skeleton, but yes, there are adaptations that can be very helpful in one situation and very damaging in another situation, right? Like sickle cell anemia and malaria, right? This prevalence of sickle cell anemia comes from an evolutionary fight against the horrors of malaria. In terms of, for Rh negative, if we look at that example, Matt, that you have that question, right? There's also things that are called like atavisms, which is when someone has their coccyx, which is a hilarious name for the bone of the human ass. When someone's coccyx has, in some cases, in some births, or in some humans, the coccyx can protrude, making a stumpy little tail. But it's not cool. It's not prehensile like certain other primates or like Nightcrawler in the X-Men. It's just something that's going to make wearing pants awkward for the kids. So they usually stump it out, for lack of a better phrase.
But also, like, in the Dark Ages, perhaps makes parents think that their child is a demon and like just put it out in the woods, let it die of exposure. I mean, that's like a thing with these traits too, the way humanity and like we interpret them and like what happens, like over time or even in a short amount of time, because like our time on this earth evolutionarily is a joke. It is a blip, So like, oh no, this aberration or this like mutation makes me think that there's the devil at work. So I'm just going to like kill this child off and be fine with it.
Also, there are plenty of things that the average person might not know about human childbirth. One being that way more people are born polydactyl with more than 10 fingers than you may think. And those fingers typically...
Stuff they don't want you to know, logo.
Hey, spoilers. But those are usually removed. Now, we're at time. We've got to go. We do want to say that the speculation regarding Rh negative blood and purported extraterrestrial origins is primarily based on just that speculation. There is no hard proof. You're human. You're going to have the same trials, travails, and triumphs as the rest of people. And as Shakespeare quoted, if you are pricked, you will bleed. That's just the human condition. But most importantly, for this case, Cherish, we want to thank you for giving some firsthand experience with Rh negative blood and for highlighting the importance of any expecting person. You want to consult with your doctor and make sure that you and your child are set up for success. Thanks also to our anonymous corresponders. Please tell us what you think about PROMIS. Please tell us about your experiences with the sticky world of tradecraft and geopolitics. And most importantly, Noel, Matt, I think we can just say it conclusively. Don't send poop in the mail. Don't send it unless someone
poop in the mail.
Explicitly asks you to, and make sure they have a reason.
It's their thing. And it's like it's a consensual poop. But again, don't even do it then, because then you're still involving these parties that would not wish to be part of that circle. Just take it to their door in a bag. Give it to them wrapped in a gift package, and
the old-fashioned way.
Present it to them.
Yeah. In way too many boxes. So like you're gonna reduce the chance that they get poop on them, but they will definitely smell it. Right?
Yeah.
Poke some holes in it.
There we go. Let the poop breathe.
Guys, before we leave, I want to give you our Leo horoscope from horoscope.com, because Ben, I'll give you flashbacks of writing these back in the day. Because now that we've established we're all Leos, here's our horoscope, guys. You're drawn to public service. It propels you to volunteer your services with a group of some kind. I think we all have to go give some blood.
I'm terrified of like needles. When I go to the doctor and they draw blood for like labs and stuff, I have to look away, and the lovely, medical professional that's like doing it always asks me if I'm okay. There was this one time they're like, "Do you have any pets?" I'm like, "Yep." Like, "What you got?" I'm like, "Cat." I'm terrified. I can't do it. And I have a thyroid condition, so I have to get blood drawn a lot. But it's a limited amount of blood. So the thought of like just having my blood drained from me, like just indefinitely, terrifies me. But you know what? Game on. Challenge accepted.
It says you're drawn to it, man. So I don't know.
Hopefully it's just going to happen naturally. It's drawn from me. I'm not being drawn to anything.
I think it is both good and noble to help people that you will never meet. But I'll take your blood if you want, no?
You can have as much as you want.
Oh, thanks, man.
But you got to get it out. You got to get it out yourself, preferably while I'm sleeping, so I don't notice.
All right. Well, nothing weird about that. And speaking of fantastic segues, we hope you enjoyed this week's listener mail segment, folks. We hope you enjoyed it so much that it inspired you, that the spirit moves you to be a part of our show. We cannot wait to hear from you. Take a page from Anonymous. Take a call from Anonymous. Take a tweet from Cherish, even though Cherish emailed, and join us. We try to be easy to find in so many ways, and why not start online?
Yes, join us. Join us online, where we are Conspiracy Stuff on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, Conspiracy Stuff Show on Instagram.
Yes, if you don't like social media, why not take your phone and call 1-833-STDWYTK. It's a voicemail system. You've got 3 minutes. Say whatever you'd like. Give yourself a nickname. Let us know if we can use your voice and message on the air. And if you don't like voicemail, that's okay. We get that too. Why not send us a good old-fashioned email? We are
conspiracy@iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.